Okay, so when it comes to Netiquette in general, here are some 10 rules that you must remember. First, rule 1, remember the human. Remember the human. Remember that the receiver on the other side of your computer or phone is another human person capable of understanding, feeling, and getting heard. Putting yourself in other spaces can put everything in the right perspective. Meaning, meaning you have to at least learn to at least ask yourself, how would this make the other person feel if I were to be treated like this? Next is, before you send a message, upload that photo or send that tweet, ask yourself, how would the other person or people at the end of the line feel if I do or say this? So the same thing as I mentioned before. And finally, always put in mind that empathy is one of the most powerful motivations for some basic decency online. Now, in terms of this part over here, I do have a particular activity, at least a presentation I have set up just for this alone. So, do take note of that. So, number 2, adhere to the same standards of behavior online that you follow in real life. Good etiquette is derived from the same standards set in real life. While it can be argued that standards of behavior may be different in the virtual world, they certainly they should not be any lower. In real life, we are constantly reminded to be respectful of other people, mindful of our words, follow the law, and other social rules. This holds true for cyberspace etiquette as well. While the chances of getting caught or punished may be slim, your accountability and liability for your actions aren't totally erased. Thus, you should do your best to act within the laws and ethical standards in the online environment just as you would in real life. So fairly straightforward. Next rule, number 3. Rule 3, know where you are in cyberspace. The internet may be as vast as the Earth's oceans or the outer space, with parts least visited, not discovered, and some deemed even dangerous. Today, you are presented with a wide array of internet domains and websites. In this context, your manner of interaction may differ from one domain to another. What's perfectly acceptable in one area may be dreadfully rude in another, and depending on where you are in the virtual world, the same written communication can be acceptable in one area where it might be considered inappropriate in another. So in this case, think of a chat room where essentially it's between your friends and another chat room where you're essentially it's between co-workers. In both domains, there's a different set of standards where while you can be more casual with your friends and even possibly just may even sounding rude even though it's just only joking around, in your professional work or professional communication chat room, you have to act professionally, you have to communicate professionally. And so you cannot actually be just act like they are your friends, at least in the chat room. You have to at least act like you're at least professional workers in a professional environment. Next rule, rule 4, respect other people's time and bandwidth. Have you ever felt that time passes faster now than it does before? In this fast-paced time, people are pushed to squeeze in school, work, social life, chores, errands to run, sleep, personal wellness, and more in 24 hours. In the context of Netiquette, however, you post something online, send a message to someone, you're taking up a few precious minutes from the already limited time of another. Most people today lead busy lives just like you do and don't have time to read or respond to frivolous emails or discussion posts. Bandwidth is the information carrying capacity of the wires and channels that connect everyone in cyberspace. So essentially, this rule 4 can be summarized as don't actually try to waste people's time with information that most likely may not be important to them. And second, especially for most of us who are using mobile data, please, on the contrary, please respect our mobile data and try not to actually have us unnecessarily burn a lot of data just for something that isn't quite important. Next lesson. Now, rule 5, make yourself look good online. In the real world, other people's immediate judgment of you would be based on your physical appearance, your demeanor, how you speak, how you carry yourself, or even how you dress. In the virtual world, you'll be judged by the quality of your writing or the content that you post. Both worlds are filled with prying eyes, and whether we like it or not, thus we need to be mindful of what we call our virtual self. So keep the following tips in mind. Making yourself look good online does not mean you are pretending to be someone else for others to like you. Rather, it means that you ought to step up in making sure that content you produce should reflect that of a responsible digital citizen until such time that it becomes your lifestyle. So in terms of how I could we best summarize to Rule 5 is essentially just actually act the way you would act in real life, or at least the way you would act in real life, so that you at least be respected. That's what Rule 5 is. Just, just at least on the contrary, make sure that you are essentially as presentable as you are in online as you are in real life. Next rule: share expert knowledge. The strength of the internet is the extent of the information it offers and various sources this information comes from. While credibility issues are concerned, the internet as an overall knowledge bank continues to grow and expand as experts contribute facts that people constantly consume. Although Netiquette lists several red flags, sharing your knowledge on something doesn't count as one. You have recently expanded your knowledge about subjects that might be of interest to others. So in this case, Rule 6, sharing is caring. While there are some red flags you have to consider, like you cannot. Okay, now this is important. When it comes to sharing information with people online, you must not share with them personal information, like your personal email, your phone number, or even the password of an account you have. You must not share such confidential, if not even crucial, personal information. However, you can at least share with other people online your expertise, such as, say, if you're good at something and other people wish to know more about it, you can go ahead and share that knowledge with others online. Just like me, where I'm currently sharing my understanding of media literacy with everyone here. Next lesson. Rule 7, help keep flame wars under control. Okay, anyone who's aware of this will know these are essentially long arguments in comment sections, which you can occasionally find. Like if you're scrolling down on YouTube and you essentially start seeing a comment with lots of replies, but when you click on it and look at the replies, you notice it's only just two people arguing back and forth. That's essentially flame wars. Flame is what other people do when they express a strongly held opinion without holding back any emotion. These are the people who express their opinion in an aggressive or offensive manner, usually resulting in flame wars where two or three people exchange angry posts between one another. There's a thin line between expressing your opinion in a respectful manner and attacking the opposite party to prove your point. The, that line is something you have to keep in mind whenever you are confronted with a disagreement with someone online. So in this case, the general point of Rule 7 is to at least be respectful to other people, even if you have a strong disagreement with them, and try not to essentially start a long reply chain where it's just you two arguing back and forth. Rule 8, respect other people's privacy. Much like how you do not want your phone opened just by anyone or your messages read by someone without your permission, other people value their privacy as well. That's something you have to always remember, especially in cyberspace where you get to access loads of information. The advent of the internet has put almost everyone's lives under a microscope. Even so, information that is private in nature must remain private, and that is a right that needs to be asserted, a right that everyone is afforded, the right to privacy. Which nowadays, okay, this is actually a little something addition I could add. But every time you actually post something, or every time you use a company's social media like Facebook actually also gains an aggregation of your data on your usage habits, etc. And Facebook is actually free to use this information in whatever way it sees fit, since which has actually been written down in their terms and conditions. Essentially, what's important for you to know is that even if a company like Facebook is freely using the data they are collecting about you from every post you make and every post you like, you still have a right to privacy, and you must always assert your right to privacy, even if, on the contrary, a big company is actually prying into your personal life via actually aggregating all the types of posts or content that you actually posted or liked on their platform. You must always remember to assert your own right to privacy, and that, okay, just trying to collect my thoughts here. And that's also important that you also value and protect your own privacy as well. Wherever you are in the online world, you may be exposed to some private or personal information that needs to be handled with care. Okay, so in this case, for this last part, there's I would like to also add one more important thing. Concerning this, there's something called doxing attacks. Now, what are these doxing attacks? Doxing is where a person purposely, knowingly, and maliciously post information about someone else online. This information can even include their family members' names, their phone numbers, their addresses, and they're just posting it online. And the reason why they're posting or doxing that person in general is that they are posting that personal information online, that their phone numbers or even their addresses, for the sole purpose of not only that other people in the world may know, but that in the possibility that other people would actually start harassing that particular person, because now that their personal information is online, people can just find them if they want to. So whatever you do, if you actually discover personal information being posted online, please do not share it, okay? And please handle such personal information with care. The last thing you need is to essentially start actually participating in a doxing attack where someone is essentially broadcasting out someone's personal information. That's really nasty. Even if, at least to the best of my memory, that doxing is not technically illegal, it's just one of those things where just because it's not legal doesn't mean you should do it. Okay? Rule 9, don't abuse your power. Ah, yes. Best summarized as with great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Spider-Man's uncle, Peter Parker's uncle. Just like in the real world, people in cyberspace have their own influence and power, some with power greater than others. Okay, this is best summarized if you've ever seen YouTubers with big followings. Yeah, people like that. These people are the technology wizards, expert with years of experience and system administrators, among others. If you are one of these powerful people, or if you are someone with knowledge powerful enough to navigate through cyberspace expertly, remember that knowing more than others does not give you the right to take advantage of them. So as such, just remember that Spider-Man quote from from Spider-Man movies: "With great power comes great responsibility." Just because you actually have greater knowledge doesn't mean it gives you the right to abuse others or take advantage of them. And rule 10, be forgiving at other people's mistakes. Not everyone's the same amount of experience working in the virtual world. As you move along and around cyberspace, at some point you will bump into a ridiculous post, a nonsense photo, a poorly constructed sentence, or a stupid question. Practice tolerance when you see minor and forgivable mistakes. If you feel compelled to correct and respond to a mistake, do so preferably in a private and as politely and respectfully as possible. This applies to everyday communication too, whether you are talking to work colleagues, family, or friends. Most especially the part about asking stupid questions. If someone online asks you a seemingly stupid question such as, how do I actually say sign into YouTube? Just don't actually derail them, even, and instead just be polite and be helpful, okay? So question, how do you plan to apply these lessons? How can you be a good citizen? And what can you do to better assist others on the net? So you can go ahead and write the answer to these questions down on a yellow pad paper, or you can actually just messenger it to me directly. Either way, I do look forward to actually hearing your answers on these particular topics. Also, for a moment, I'll give you some time in order to actually copy down these questions. You may post a video so that you have more time. And moving on,